I blew up my account because I broke Todd's rules. So Misty in the last month, looking here at the Morningstar chart with the dividend added back in, is down 8%. Without the dividend, it's down 20%. I saw a lot of people in the Discord complaining that their accounts were down big in the last week or so because I saw people saying they had as much as 50% of their account invested in Misty. I've made some earlier videos about the risks of MicroStrategy and the risks of Misty because it's not directly tied to the price of Bitcoin. It has its own leverage within the stock, and right now it's trading at a 2 times premium. So if we look at Bitcoin in the last month, it's only down 0.5%, but we see Misty is down 8%. And that's because Misty and MicroStrategy are not directly tied to Bitcoin. They kind of have their own thing going on. So within the last week, we went from 116 down to around 110. That's only a 6% decline. And if you look at MicroStrategy, went from, we'll just roughly say 350 down to 310. That's a 14% decline. So with Bitcoin only being down 6%, MicroStrategy is down 14%. And if people in the Discord are saying they have 50% of their account in Misty, Misty's 100% maintenance. When you get a big drop in something that's 100% maintenance and you have 50% of your portfolio tied into that, you are going to get smoked. So the S&P over the last month was up 3%. So if you stayed with the majority of your account in stuff like Cornerstone that is tied to the indexes that perform similarly, you'd be up 3%. You'd be doing just fine. And that is why you have to go back to the principles and the tenets of the FIRE program with Todd Aiken, is you're not supposed to have more than a certain percentage of your account in a single stock. So I run into this issue myself in the past when I look at Todd's big account and I start to feel like, well, what he's doing doesn't apply to me because I don't have enough money to make the dividends worthwhile. I need to hit a home run. Then once my account's as big as Todd's, well, then I'll start following the rules. But that's not the way life works. And that's just caused me to be set back and then set back again and then set back again. I'd have more money in my account than Todd had I just listened to him and followed the rules the entire time. So I made the mistake of day trading. I made the mistake of, YOLOing, zero DTEs, trying to hit a home run and swing for the fence. And I got lucky a few times, but eventually I lost, like most day traders do. And that's why that's not a sustainable strategy. I had my whole net worth in a stock, held it for over 2 years, and then ended up, liquidating right before they ended up getting bought out. It was FLIR, F-L-I-R. Held it for years, and then the Friday I sold it, they ended up getting bought out that next Monday for 50% more than I paid for it. So trying to take unnecessary risk, I also blew up my account by having too much margin. So I know in his Volume 3 e-guide, he tells you that you're only supposed to kind of tiptoe into margin and work your way up to a certain amount. So these are all tenets of his strategy that he's came up with, and this is, like I've said in other videos, we learned this stuff the hard way. I was all in margin. I would literally have to sell a few shares of stocks to buy groceries, and I'd get a paycheck and I'd go all in. I was literally like in margin call every day. I was living on the edge of getting called by E-Trade all the time. And that's how I learned to navigate this, and that's how Todd kind of watched what was happening with me so that he could learn it himself, and then he could, adopted what I learned and put his spin on it and did it conservatively and did it smartly and didn't just YOLO all in into things like Misty, because then when things go wrong, you're screwed. And then you're trying to get back to where you were before and you end up even farther behind. So I hope you guys can hear my passion, and this is coming from experience. I've done all this stuff. I've made all these mistakes. You got to stay disciplined. I have to stay consistent. I have to block out the noise. I have to do all those things on a daily basis. And if I stray the course, I get burned. So I'm going to do a series called the 10 Commandments of the FIRE Lifestyle. And I'm going to go over all the rules that needs to be followed for you to invest safely, but to also see those insane returns that people over there in the FIRE community are seeing on a day-to-day basis. I look up to Todd a lot, not just in the investing space, but just in the way that he, presents himself as a man and how he lives his life, with his faith in God and, his family and just the type of person that he is. You should see this guy play basketball. He's like a skinny, 6'3", 6'4" white guy, and he is just an animal out there. And I'm a big guy, and he pushes me around sometimes. I'm 250 pounds. I'm his power forward, and he takes that same tenacity and that same strength into everything he does. And that's why I follow him to the end of the earth. I've been behind him. I've put my money behind him since I met him. And like I said in an earlier video, he's never really been wrong. The only times I lost money investing behind Todd is when I broke the rules. And when I, strayed from the course and I got over leveraged, or I, had a hunch on a stock and I went all in. And that's what I cannot do. I don't want to give you guys advice. I just am going to tell you guys what happened to me, and you guys can hear that, and hopefully keep yourselves from making those same mistakes. So keep an eye out for that series I'm going to do about the 10 Commandments for the FIRE lifestyle, and give me a like, subscribe, comment down below. Okay, so I'm filming this ending on Monday. I filmed the rest of the video on Sunday, so we did get a nice little bounce in Bitcoin, but everything I mentioned in the video is still true. Breaking Todd's rules, putting too much into one single stock, swinging for the fence can bite you in the butt. So I made a mistake. I guess me and Todd had a little miscommunication. It's actually promo code Mike, M-I-K-E. So if you're looking to get a 10% discount on any of Todd's stuff on his website, use promo code Mike, M-I-K-E, for a 10% discount. And I'll make a couple more videos this week about the 10 Commandments, and we'll go from there. So have a good day, guys. Let's make some money.